On the hunt for comfortable, timeless Western boots? You already know the best place to shop for quality boots is at your local Tacova store. So stop by Tacovas Nashville at the Mall at Green Hills or on Broadway by Ryman Auditorium. That's right, you now have 2 locations to choose from. Grab a cold one as you shop and get fitted by a pro. Tacovas Nashville is at your service, and you can find your perfectly fitted dream boots with the help of their expert staff. Everyone will be asking where you got your sick new boots, but I won't be asking because I know they must be Tacovas. That's TECOVAS.com. Don't go gently, y'all. Today on CityCast Nashville, it's the Tuesday News Roundup, but I am at the beach. So we called up the only person who could possibly replace me, the mayor, Freddie O'Connell. He's joined by producer Marie Cecile Anderson and executive producer Whitney Pasterek, and they're going to give you updates on everything from transit to tailgating. Plus, we'll follow up on the frustrating situation with our community review board and find out what exactly he plans to do about our neo-Nazi problems. CityCast Nashville is presented by our exclusive launch sponsor, Tacovas. It's July 30th, I'm Grace Fuse, and this is what Nashville's talking about.
Mayor Freddie, thank you so much for being here for the Tuesday News Roundup. We miss Grace, but we're so glad you're with us instead.
I also miss Grace.
We want to start off with a positive spin. You've been very, very, very busy with good things and bad things here in Nashville. Let's kick it off with good things. We want to talk about the Strobel House. Will you tell our listeners about this exciting new development?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. This is our first significant public residence that embraces the philosophy of permanent supportive housing. And so all of those words matter in that description. It is long-term housing. It's not the kind of thing that you would expect to be in for 30 days, 90 days while you're going through recovery. It is long-term residential approach. The supportive part is this housing is designed for people who may otherwise struggle to attain housing. They probably have something that keeps them at high risk of being chronically homeless. And so there is a clinic on site. There is mental and behavioral health supports, a lot of access. It's something new for the city. It's going to have an impact that really does support our chronically homeless population. And it was a journey.
Yeah.
I worked with 3 different mayoral administrations before I took office to kind of keep this idea alive and ensure we were making progress on implementation. And it was especially exciting to be there for the ribbon cutting as mayor.
That's fantastic. Next question. What's up with these strong babies? I hear we have Nashville strong babies. Who are these babies? How much can they bench?
They like me, can bench their body weight and 50% more. So this is an initiative. This is really one of the most exciting things we got to celebrate over the past few weeks. The Metro Public Health Department has for 5 years in some key zip codes been running. It's a long running pilot almost, but the effectiveness is incredible. The whole goal is to try to attack health inequities, but also specifically work on a pernicious problem of infant mortality and maternal health also for both prenatal and postpartum. And what is amazing is that in the 5-year period of supporting these key zip codes in Nashville, every single participating mother survived. There was not a single incident of maternal mortality for participating mothers. And in the zip codes, we have seen a reduction in infant mortality as well. And so Nashville Strong Babies has had 5 years of success. And most recently, we got an amazing award from HRSA, the Biden-Harris administration investing across the country. And so for the next 5 years, the support we have gotten from this lets us expand the Nashville Strong Babies program countywide. So it's a big deal. We want more people celebrating their first birthday. That's what the program is here for. And you can find out more at NashvilleStrongBabies.com.
Okay, that's amazing. And I think that the common thread between both of those things is that we're providing ongoing support and sort of understanding that taking care of each other is a holistic thing, right? It's not just here's a handout, go figure it out.
That is what this is about. And ultimately, Whitney, I think the theme of so much of our campaign and what we wanted to work on coming into office was fundamentally about making it easier to stay here in Nashville. And so the way I think about that a lot is what are we doing? What are the indicators about whether somebody is thriving? And so, at the start of life, we want more mothers to remain healthy as new moms, and we want more people to not just celebrate that first birthday, but then that also leads into some new backbone work we're doing as a local government to support My Brother's Keeper, which is an initiative of the Obama Foundation that supports young men in communities of color, first having early childhood access to literacy, but then ultimately growing up in environments where jobs access, safety are top of mind. And so we're really trying to invest across the board and also take advantage of those amazing partnerships. So we're trying to make sure we have new funding sources, strong partnerships, all oriented toward helping people thrive here.
All right, Freddie, I hate to break it to you, but now we do have to talk about some of the challenges we're facing. And as you well know, there are a couple on the books right now. The one that's obviously top of everyone's mind is Nazis. We listened to This Is Nashville last week, and I really thought you did a good job of explaining the ways that you're exploring how to deal with this. And I understand as an American that it is their First Amendment right to go around saying their hateful things, to be racist jerks, as you called them. But I have a legitimate question. I know that in the past when I've gone to protests, I've been encouraged to write the number of legal aid on my arm, right? We've had medics who are a part of the protest crew in case something happens. I've been kettled. I've been trampled by police officers on horseback. There's so much preparation that goes into making sure everyone will be safe when we go out to protest. Yep. I don't get the sense that these neo-Nazis are having those same concerns, that they somehow know that they will be safe when they go out to protest. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, we had a comprehensive list that I went through with Metro Legal to start with to say, hey, what's on the books right now? Where were these guys with regard to all of those? And in every single case from, profanity, indecency, pornography, sort of the content of the speech to where they were physically, how many people were there, amplification, any of that stuff. Interestingly enough, the thing that we're most likely to have the potential to get them on a violation for is littering. And that's actually something that they've been caught on in other cities as well.
I think what I'm saying, though, is that it is really my dream to live in a world where a Nazi is as scared to go out and exercise their First Amendment rights as someone who is protesting for Black Lives Matter. I
hear that, and I will say we are working on a lot of things that should make them feel less comfortable going forward.
Okay, cool. I just feel like maybe there's a double standard sometimes. That's sort of the through line through all of this, right? It feels like there's a double standard.
So I hear that, and I kind of understand the through line, especially from the sensation of it. But I will say we were in constant contact with MMPD on this, as we have been on other things. Whitney, I don't know if you were here at City Hall that council meeting night, but it was tense, and they knew they weren't welcome. And in fact, with Councilmember Suara giving a warning and clearing the chamber, we subsequently cleared the building. But I think many people did expect that there was going to be a confrontation that escalated into potential physical fights. And so
I know, I think we're all really thankful that it didn't.
I'm very thankful it didn't. But I will say, I think that night they absolutely did not feel, by the end of the night, there is no way that you could say they felt welcome or comfortable being in City Hall.
If people have concerns about this, if they have tips, if they have ideas, if they just want to express their fear and frustration, is your door open for all of that?
Yeah. And I tell people every time I'm out in the community somewhere, one of the things that we have also focused on, just like going back to the way people thrive, is we do want this office to be as responsive as it can be. So people can send correspondence to mayor@nashville.gov anytime.
Speaking of public safety, I do want to get a quick update on where things stand with the Community Review Board. Last time you were here, it was right after the former MNPD officer had filed a formal complaint alleging that MNPD higher-ups had worked with the state to overturn the Community Oversight Board. And since then, the members of our current Community Review Board have really been pushing to have access to outside counsel to investigate what happened with that sad and the problems they continue to have with that relationship. I saw a story last week that you're now considering giving them an outside counsel, or at least exploring ways to give them that outside counsel, despite the fact that the state probably won't be very happy about that. Can you just give us a quick update on how that's happening and what perhaps changed your mind on that?
I will say my mind didn't need changing on this. We heard the inherent tension, and I think that's obvious. I think there's a sequence of events that unfolded. So to be clear, last year, the state preempted what was a referendum-driven establishment of a community oversight board that had significant powers and had a budget established by that referendum, et cetera. We responded to that. First order of business as soon as we took office was to make sure that we still maintained a civilian review board. Even with its limited powers, we had some deadlines to meet under the new state law. We had to get the board itself in place. After that, we've started, the next order of business was to establish a memorandum of understanding between the CRB and MNPD. That process is ongoing. They do, in fact, have independent counsel leading that process on their behalf. The first several months of that was that counsel getting on board and working on a draft. That draft is now circulating with legal and MNPD, but we are monitoring to make sure.
When is the last time that the CRB was able to meet directly with MNPD?
Well, I'll say it this way. They are constantly engaged directly with MNPD. I've heard the chair express that she has not been able to get a meeting on the calendar with Chief Drake personally, but they are regularly in communication with MNPD to work on the MOU, and their independent counsel is also regularly in contact with MNPD. They have been in our office and met with me personally multiple times since I took office. And most recently, to your point, we put a framework proposal on the table that we think is consistent with state law. We're also talking with the firm representing them in the MOU process to see if we can broaden that further. And so ideally, good news ahead.
Do you feel as though MNPD is being held to the same legal standard in this process of recreating the CRB as the CRB itself is?
I personally do, but that's also one of the reasons we thought that the most appropriate response to that 61-page document of allegations from a former MNPD member was to get independent investigation started, and that is underway. And I have not had any contact with the investigator there. We identified that person, approved that person, Ed Stanton, and made sure he had all the contact info for the CRB and MNPD. But right now, I have every indication to think that we are holding them both to the same standard.
Okay, this is going to be the last tough question, and then we'll pivot back to something I know you want to talk about. There has been a great deal of controversy swirling around specifically Wally Dietz, your choice to head Metro Legal, throughout the course of your tenure as mayor. A lot of those conversations have drowned out, as you've mentioned, some of the positive things that your administration has done. Given all of that controversy, why do you believe that Wally Dietz continues to be the right person to lead Metro Legal?
Wally has had tremendous success defending Metro existentially with the state. He has, when I took office, one of my first conversations with Director Dietz was basically about where kind of the risks ahead were, what was in play. I will say, last summer, it wasn't 100% evident to me how the actions at the Arts Commission toward the end of my term on Metro Council and at the very end of the campaign would wind up having such a prolonged impact. But I will say, too, as we got deeper into that, from day one there, just like getting the CRB reconstituted was a key priority, Director Dietz heard directly from me over and over again that we were intent on finding solutions to get artists and arts organizations paid. Long and short of it is Wally has been involved in key lawsuits with the state, and legal, for people who don't know how it works, is really split into two things: client services and litigation. And so it's important to look at it. And we could have a whole episode later about operation of the law department as an institution.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about choosing how we are moving. We are back with Mayor Freddie O'Connell. Marie, I know you want to talk about Choose How You Move. This is Freddie's transit plan that the language that will appear on the November 5th ballot has now been approved.
Woohoo! I am so excited about this. I'm excited because I grew up here in Nashville, but of course.
Hey, me too.
Yeah, I know. I went to Overton, class of 99.
Yeah.
Go Bobcats.
Let's see. My mom would not have been teaching there at that point. I grew up basically thinking I was a Bobcat because my mom taught at Overton for years.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I wonder if she taught me.
No, she was gone by the 90s. She was there through most of the 80s.
Oh, okay. Nope, I wasn't in high school then. Thank goodness. Well, I will say, so I lived in glorious New York City for 15 years. And then in 2020, I moved.
That's not zoned for Overton.
Nope. I left. But so I moved back to Nashville in 2020 and was absolutely mortified at the public transit situation. So, of course, when you started running.
With you on that one.
Yep. When you started running on transit, I totally backed you and was so excited to vote for you because you were talking my language.
Well, I guess this is disclaimer part of the episode. Right? So, Marie, thank you.
You're so welcome. But what I do want to ask, as a native Nashvilleian, I have never ridden the bus. Okay. And
wow, Marie.
I know.
Okay.
I rode the school bus.
We're going to change your future.
Marie, we're going to get letters again.
I know. We're going to get letters. But this is a real thing.
You and Alex Jahanger.
But this is a true thing. So what do you say to Nashvilleians who don't or who have never ridden the bus? Because are we about to get ready and ride the bus? Because obviously I'm going to all these events. You know, actually, truthfully, first time I ever went to the Titan Stadium was for the Taylor Swift concert. But, you know, as you know, the city kind of shut down. We were all just gridlocked. And so I would love to take a bus to an event downtown. What do you tell people like myself who've never ridden?
So my objective is, and was since I was also a former Nashville MTA board member and transit user long before that, is to constantly look for ways to make it easier as an option. But I wouldn't ever fundamentally expect people to we certainly wouldn't say this is a, get people out of your car campaign. This is ultimately a campaign to give you the option. When we were thinking about where to live in the city, one of my favorite parts still today about my neighborhood is that it is walkable, right?
Yeah, mine's not.
No, I'm on Dickerson.
But Dickerson's on track for significant improvements for pedestrian realm, which is great. And what we're trying to do is accelerate all of those options to know that for 15 years, we'll be able to make major capital investments in safer roads, more sidewalks, modern signalized intersections, and yes, 24/7, 365 transit access. But right now, today, if you wanted to, one of the things that our family has done a couple times is take the now completely free number 52 bus from downtown to a soccer game. It is a frictionless way to get access to a major sports experience that you don't even have to think about what the fare is, right? And so I think first, those kinds of opportunities, we're looking at, increasing the partnership with the Titans and access to Nissan Stadium. We've already had some success. For years, there was almost like a philosophy of don't let transit anywhere near the special event. And now we've actually created some dedicated opportunities to get transit right into the footprint. And that's gone very well so far.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, and I think this is important, it occurs to me that Kenny Chesney will be performing at Nissan Stadium this weekend. And my knowledge of Kenny Chesney fans, as well as Titans football fans, is that they love to tailgate. We don't currently have a parking lot for our stadium. It is a pile of dirt. Freddie, what do you say to tailgaters who are going to be inconvenienced by this?
Good luck.
best answer of the day. Love it.
We want to thank you for giving us so much time today. We know you're the mayor. We heard all those notifications going ding, ding, ding behind you while we were talking. We're grateful to you for joining our news roundup. I'm sorry to tell you that you are not as good as Grace, but we'd love to have you back on anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, y'all.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. Freddie, thank you so much for cosplaying as me. And honestly, please pray for me that I don't get a sunburn. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend? Rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye!